Hi there, it's Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. This is the beautiful die from Aliexpress that we are going to be using today. I'm actually going to use it as a stencil. So I have kind of cut it out of this is a piece of watercolor cardstock, I think. It's just a nice thick cardstock. It's not one that I use often. It's not one of my favorite watercolor ones, hence why I'm using it as a stencil. And I'm going to attach a piece of 80-pound Nina Solar white cardstock behind it. The piece behind it is a 4¼ by 5½-inch sized piece of paper. And I'm going to be using the three colours Wild Honey, Mustard Seed and Squeezed Lemonade. Now this one here is the Squeezed Lemonade, so that's the lightest colour that I have. And I'm just holding a little piece of scrap paper down there because Distress Oxide inks come off on your hands and it would leave my little fingerprint. So to avoid that, I'm just using that little piece of green paper there, just a scrap. Now I'm moving on to the mustard seed colour, which is kind of my medium colour. So I basically coated the whole piece with my Lies one, the Squeezed Lemonade, and then I'm going to go a little bit shorter with the mustard seed, and now I have the Wild Honey, which I'm keeping closer to the centre of that, the centre of the sun rays. Now when I take this off, I definitely think it needs a little bit more kind of colour added. It's a little bit too much white for my liking. So I am adding some of the Squeezed Lemonade, the lightest colour, over the whole panel, and I'm going to fill in that white circle. I just didn't really like the white circle, so I'm going to fill it in with the darkest colour, which is the Wild Honey. From here, I'm pretty much done with my ink blending, and I have this little stamp set here, that is the Sunshine one. And I'm going to use some heat resistant acetate. I have this one, but I know that there's other ones out there on the market, so just use what you have. If you didn't have this, you could definitely just stamp it on either a piece of vellum or even just cardstock. You don't necessarily need it to be see-through. So I have covered this acetate in my anti-static powder tool. Then I'm stamping on it with some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Now I'm just doing this ink because it will stay wet for a little bit, and I am going to add some clear embossing powder over the top of it, and then I'm going to use my heat tool to melt it. Now on acetate it does melt quite quickly, and you don't want to have your heat gun on there for too long because it is plastic after all, but yeah, it's pretty good. So you can see that that is going to look nice and dark up against my yellow background there. But I do need to add the last little bit of my sentiment. Sorry I didn't catch this little bit on film. I thought I was recording, but it says, "I hope your birthday is full of," and I just stamped and embossed that with some white embossing powder on a black piece of paper. So I'm just cutting off the ends as a little angle, and I'm going to attach that by adding a couple of pieces of foam tape, and I've attached it onto the acetate, and I want the acetate to sit flat against the card. So I've just kind of bent them around the sides, bent the acetate, and then I will add a little bit of double-sided tape. This is Aleena's double-sided tape as well, which is super, super strong and sticky. I really like this double-sided tape, and that way I know it won't be going anywhere at all. You can see that I am adding plenty. So I have just sort of pre-folded it around the corners, and that way you just kind of slip it on and press it down. Now you could definitely leave the card here, but what would the fun be in that? I have all of these gems from Aliexpress, and these are just range of the yellows and golds. But then it occurred to me before I start sticking down little gems that it would be smart to adhere this to my card base so that I'm not trying to do that with little gems with wet glue afterward. So I'm doing my normal trick of putting my little bits out the side, and I'm going to adhere it down to a 110-pound Nina Solar white, and I've left a little 1/8 of an inch border around the outside too. And now we are about to go gem crazy. So I have two different types of gems here. I have some of the 4mm ones and some of the 6mm ones in all the different colors. And these are flatback gems, so I'm just adding a little tiny, tiny dab of glue. And then I'm actually finding it easiest to just pick them up with my finger. They just kind of, stick to your finger and then pop them down. But you could definitely use a little wax pencil or a tool if you have it. But I found that the quickest way to do it was to just use my finger. And I went gem crazy here. Now I must say it is kind of hard to see the different colors. Those ones kind of look a little bit almost black, but I promise you that they're just a nice gold color. You might be able to see a little bit better later on when I kind of shift the card around, but I just put as many gems on here kind of almost as possible. Obviously, I have super sped this up, but it really didn't take me long at all to put all these down, and you can see here that it absolutely gives this card the most beautiful sparkle and shine. And then I also kept seeing more and more places where I could add in more little gems, but this is pretty much finished. The card is complete and it is beautiful in real life. I love this card. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed watching this card being made, and you can give something similar a go yourself. I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.